Welcome back, boys and girls. Today I'm going to be trying Larvel, the web framework of the PHP community. That is their secret sauce. That is how they get their Lambos. And I want one too. So I'm going to be trying it out. I'm going to see what's up. Last year, near Christmas time, I did try Spring Boot. And quite frankly, I thought it was shit. This video is going to go slightly different because previously I knew Java. This time I don't know any PHP, so I'm going to learn a little bit of PHP first, see what the syntax is about, and then we're going to dive into the framework. Now, I don't have any tooling installed, so I'm going to be relying on the JetBrains IDE. And with that, don't forget to check out the description, like, subscribe if you enjoy the video, and don't forget to comment if you have any questions. With that, let's go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do first is go ahead and download PHP Storm. And while that's installing, let's go ahead and learn PHP in, 30 minutes. Let's dedicate maybe about that time. Let me make this full screen and zoom in so you can also read this, and hopefully you don't mind light mode. Okay, so this document describes PHP 5 plus. I don't know what version PHP is on right now, maybe a little bit older, so PHP latest version 8.26, so maybe we can try that in 15 minutes, maybe go a little bit shorter, you know. So I'll learn PHP 8 in 5 minutes. There we go. Let's see what we can get. Medium article. Medium is crap lately. You have interfaces, classes, attributes. This looks a lot like C#. You get fields. What is this even? This is not considered a comment anymore. Named arguments. I guess these are new features. So I guess I'm not so much after new features that are coming in PHP 8. I guess I'm after the core that has been there for, for God knows how long. So anyway, code starts with this thing and ends with this thing. It's a script that you place over here. Anything outside tags is echoed automatically. We get a print function, we get an echo function. Okay, PHP starts as a template engine. So actually the things that I do know about PHP is about as much as you put things into these tags, and that's because I learned a little bit of PHP a long time ago. That was around the time where Angular 1 was popular or was just coming out, I can't remember, but I was trying to learn web development. I was like, all right, PHP, Angular, next thing, not actually really building anything, not really actually learning anything, so none of it actually stuck. So $, Boolean, I don't know if this is a type or this is a variable name. Looks like variable names. Case sensitivity on true and false doesn't matter. We get the numbers. Okay, so basically variables start with a $. And then if I want to do memory deallocation, or I guess, I don't know, basically delete a variable, I do unset. Very interesting. So I got some basic arithmetic operations, increments, okay. Operation concatenated with the assignment. You get single quote strings, double quote strings. I don't know if they can span multiple lines. I actually just missed this, but you can have string interpolation. Cool. So define some constants, echo foo. Okay, so I can define based on dynamic input. Array. So this is a hash map. So it looks like this instead of a colon or something like that. It's just an arrow. So we can basically create a dictionary. For some reason, you just have functions floating about in the, general namespace, I guess. So you just invoke them to work with these different things. But okay, if you want an array, you just prefix square braces next to a variable. Hopefully I'll remember all this. I'll leave this open in case I need to refer to this. Something like this. I don't understand what that is. We got the standard comparison stuff. Strings are coerced into integers, so plus is only integer operation. So how can you concatenate? Okay, concatenation is a dot, and it looks like I have scrolled past this. Okay, a little bit weird. I guess I want to see how you do object property navigation over here. Then if it's not a dot switch case, nobody uses that. While loops, do loops, for each loops, everything looks super simple to regular ones. Regular ones is in regular languages, okay? You then have for each loop where you have for each wheels as wheel count. Is this an alias? Okay, so I think it's, yeah, okay, collection and then the element on the right. So a little bit backwards to how I usually have it. Then we have a function. So the function definition, this is basically JavaScript, works the same parameters, a default parameter set. You can have anonymous functions, all right. So I guess these are going to be lambdas. Well, we'll see how we can basically pass those around. But yeah, let's try to get to maybe a class. Okay, so we have a class. The class has some functions. Did it have properties? Okay, so you have access modifiers. You have static members. Let's see how you access those. So my const, what was my const? My const was a no. Okay, so just a const and then static. And double colon is how I access stuff on the class. My static method, if I want to create, I create a new class this way. And the arrow, I think this sort of syntax is used in C++, so I think that is about all I need to know here. The syntax doesn't really look that foreign. There are some things, I guess, well, from reading this at a first glance and really not having any muscle memory, I'm gonna be like, oh, what do I write here? Probably gonna take me a minute or two. But in and of itself, I know how to define a class, I know how to define a function, and invoking functions looks the same. And if I want to access a property, I even have a null coalescing or a nullability check before I try to access something. So this actually looks pretty cool, right? It's basically C# or like any other of those programming languages that have all those modern features, right? Nothing too new. All of the programming languages these days are basically the same. They're all like aggregating or like going into the same singularity, and it's going to be mostly, I think, about the runtime. PHP Storm is downloaded. Let's go ahead and get that. Everything's spawning on a different screen, so do not import settings. That is going to be okay. Hopefully what I'm praying on is PHP Storm is going to hold my hand and is basically going to go like, you don't have PHP installed. How about you install PHP? And I'm going to be like, oh man, thank you very much. And we'll call this a Larvel app, okay? Let's go ahead and create. So PHP empty project has been created. We get a cool little screen, and let's zoom this in. If the zooming in works, and it doesn't, so what you do is you search for zoom. Zoom in ID is this crazy keybind over there. Control Alt Tab. Okay, there we go. So maybe that could be a little bit too much. We have an AI assistant. Really don't give a fuck about an AI assistant right now. We want a new Laravel application, please. Maybe we'll go back to project files. So, I mean, the directory is really empty. There is nothing there. And, well, I wanted to get rid of this bar on the top. So I think it's Zen mode. So enter Zen mode. There we have it. So really don't have anything here anymore. Okay, my keybinds are messed up as well. So open in terminal. I just want to make sure that I have access to a terminal. Let's clear this. And while that is happening, let's go ahead and Google for Larvel. Okay, I obviously can't spell as well, so that's that. But write code for the joy of it. So this looks awfully like ASP.NET Core minimal APIs. Maybe that's where .NET has got it from. So maybe this is going to actually be a walk in the park. Route get profile controller class, and from here middleware auth. I'm not sure exactly how this might be a currying function over here that basically. Oh no, actually, so this is going, because this is going to probably return a type, and we're invoking the middleware method on it and supplying a key auth. Okay, okay, I'm not going to get into the weeds too much. I just want to actually go ahead and get started. So let's make this a little bit bigger. Creating a Larvel project. Here we have composer create project Larvel. So PHP and Composer, if you're developing on macOS, PHP and Composer can be installed via Laravel herd. In addition, we recommend installing Node and npm. Okay, this bit I have done. Laravel herd, whatever this is, download for Mac. Okay, so this bit I don't like one bit. Let's go ahead and come back over here. So let's try create a new project. Let me try again and see if I've missed anything over here. So PHP Storm Workshop project, Composer package project. I guess that's kind of it. Command line parameter. Nope, all of it looks trash. Composer, that is all rubbish as well. Now let's check out what Composer is. Dependency management for PHP. So let's get started. We gotta get the Composer executable. So let's download this file. Okay, sign me up. Let's go ahead and download this file. So what I actually downloaded, I downloaded the installer. And installer is a PHP script. So I don't have actually PHP installed, and the writer didn't really hold my hand. So let's go ahead, PHP install. PHP installation and configuration, general installation, installation on Mac OS. Holy camole, looks like I'm gonna have to use brew. So let's come back over here. Okay, so that took a little bit way too long because I haven't touched brew in quite a while, so it decided to upgrade everything. Okay, hopefully I get PHP command now. Is this an interpreter? Maybe echo hello, hello, hello. Okay, nothing happened over here. Maybe PHP help. Some commands over here, and maybe actually let's try it again. PHP, what do I need? PHP echo hello, semicolon, and like this was it. Let me quickly come back to the script over here because I forgot everything that I just read because it's been like 2 seconds. And no, actually, I'm correct. So what the hell? So hello world, automatic. Okay, so this is not a REPL. Maybe it is, but I'm probably using it incorrectly. I have some idea stuff over here. Let's create a new file. Hello PHP, and I'm just gonna try to execute it. All right. So okay, boom. How do I? Can I close it off? Can you help me close it off? No? Okay. So echo hello world. Okay, semicolon. Okay, maybe I'm gonna make sure I wrap it in a string. Okay, all the keybinds are messed up. Is it complaining about a new line over here? Okay, all right. Don't care about that. Let's try hello.php and we get hello world. Okay, I can execute script. I am happy with that. Anyway, I installed PHP because I wanted the Composer tool, and the Composer tool I think actually relied on PHP. Okay, so we got PHP installed. That is done. Now we have to get about what's called setting up Composer on Linux, Mac OS. So download the Composer executable. So I downloaded this file. So from reading this, this thing that I downloaded is an installer, and what I have over here is basically I want to install it locally and not globally. So let's come back over here. We're going to move the installer file that I have over here into over here, installer. Should have the installer here now, and then PHP installer. Let's go ahead and try to run it. And now that I have whatever this is, the Composer far in your working directory, PHP archive. So I have to run this command in order to run the Composer tool. So Composer par, and there we have it. Okay, I don't I don't know exactly how the heck that works, but there we have it. So I have a local thing. Hopefully I can get rid of the installer because that's what I'm gonna do. And I have this Composer tool. Let's go ahead and use Composer to create a project and Larvel example app. So let me paste the command over here. Instead of Composer, I'm just gonna go ahead and grab the previous command and example app. Sure, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so I should have the example app over here. Cool. Yeah, that is very annoying that I'm not sharing my keybinds. So anyway, we have an example application, and holy camole, is it big. So let's go ahead and try to figure some of this stuff out. We have a readme file. Okay, let's go ahead and preview the whole thing. So we got some, just typical readme file. Doesn't tell me how to run the application, just where to go and stuff like that. So we don't need that. And I think one thing I noticed, yeah, so the editor windows aren't appearing. So quickly Windows active tool window, or sorry, editor tabs, configure editor tabs just so they're actually shown. So just like that, okay? I actually like seeing what file I'm in. Okay, so the screen is ungodly big. I have this weird indentation that JetBrains IDs love to have sometimes. So artisan, PHP file, whatever. So again, okay, it's actually using .env for environment variables. That is actually very nice. So it's reusing some kind, basically the same technology is used elsewhere. So it's nice to see it being reused rather than some proprietary thing like app settings that we have in the .NET world. We have composer.json, so this would be package management, same as package.json with the log file, okay. And we actually still have package.json, and we have Axios, Laravel Vite plugin. So we're using Vite over here. I'm not sure what it's being used for. And then we have PHP XML, which I guess is kind of like the CS project file where it's just the project definition, because I'm seeing folder configuration here. So it's saying that's a test, and app is the actual application directory. So Bootstrap, let's quickly have a look at that. This looks mighty scary, so I'm gonna go ahead and hide that. Configuration, again, this looks actually pretty scary, so I'm not going to look into that. Database, factories, use factory. This, again, looks very, very scary, so I'm not going to look at that. We have console, exception, HTTP. This is meant to be the actual app, and so far, basically, I don't know where the entry point to my application is, so I am slightly confused where in .NET I would just have the program CS file and, it'd be ready to start. So anyway, PHP artisan serve. So actually, from that command, I might just retract my, in my opinion, artisan must be the entry point. So let's go ahead and have a quick read through this. So actually, I'm probably going to end up clicking on this tool windows bar to get my terminal back up because I don't have my keybinds. Okay, I don't understand any of this. Whatever artisan does, it basically, I'm noticing that it is artisan serve. So if I'm gonna take a look at composer.json, I'm gonna maybe expect to see a serve somewhere in here. Serve? No. Package.json? Serve? No. Serve in here. Let's see serve. I'm expecting to see some kind of script definition. Maybe it's just an argument that I'm providing to the internal tooling. So if I don't see some kind of, basically key value, key serve on the right hand side, this is what we're executing. So I don't see anything like that. So I'm going to assume that it's just some internal tooling that is going to start executing the server. Okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and run this, and there we have it. So if I guess this is all just a landing page, which I guess is pretty cool. Nice, I guess, that I could just get started like that, but it has too much. It has too much details. I don't understand any of it. I want something smaller. So what I'm gonna look for is Larvel minimal template. Okay. Okay, I'm not gonna be delving too far, but that article basically says what I got is already an empty project. So a bunch of tests. I don't really care about tests, so I'll just leave it there. Storage, okay. Framework, compiled PHP. I don't know what all this is. A bunch of git ignores, okay. It's worrying that these things are empty. All right. Here we have the API and I guess /user channels, models user ID console. I don't know what these things are. Maybe this is something that I can work with. I have a view of welcome over here. Let's double check the API though, because it has this /auth user. So I'm gonna come back to my application. Let's duplicate this tab, /user, and not found. Maybe this has to be prefixed with API. I'm not sure. Okay, and it does, I guess. Route login not defined. So I'm guessing on the left is a stack trace. This whole thing is a stack trace, and then this is basically telling me which code has actually broken. So in HTTP middleware authenticate and route not found exception. So I don't have a login. Okay, let's go over here and just, I don't know, try output login. I'm gonna, I don't know, hello world. Maybe something like that. Probably worth trying that over here, actually. Let's come back over here, refresh, and we get hello world. Okay, so just like .NET, I can return a string. I don't know where this view is coming from, by the way, so might be worth actually exploring this. And probably the best way to do this, if I refresh this, I will try to grab maybe about yay much of this text and search for it here. So welcome blade PHP, where is this located? And resources. So these are views. Okay. And it looks like that search that I recently did for blade, this is using that templating. Actually, if route has login, looks like it's going to display some stuff. So I mean, I did bring up login, didn't bring up this bar. Let's see if I needed to create a completely new file for this. So login .php. Let's go ahead, place this over here. Nothing works because it needs. So it's not actually using the closing tab. The PHP script never ends. Okay, let's put this over here. Where's my terminal? Let's take a look at this. Nothing is happening over here. Let's refresh, and the route still hasn't appeared. Let me just double check that this welcome blade PHP is indeed the thing that I'm looking for. So I'm just gonna put hello world over here, and I'm gonna expect hello world to appear. Okay, so that is cool. So route has login. I wanna see what that does, right? So right click, let's see if there's some kind of decompilation or something like that. So let's say go to implementation, right? Take me there, and nothing happened. So what was the keybind? Again, go to command B declaration or usages. Okay, I guess I don't get any decompilation. I can take a look at the route. I guess, well, the tooling is basically not as good as it would be for a C# writer, where I can just open up the hood and take a look at the source code. I understand Larvel is probably open source and I can search for that source code, but again, I'm just kind of here exploring. I don't want to go too far. So anyway, right, route has login. I am expecting this to somehow detect if I have a login route and, well, do something with it, right? Okay, so this article didn't answer any of my questions, but I stumbled upon this, which says you can put a name on your route. So I'm assuming now that I just need a name on my route. So over here, let's set the name to test. This should, where's my welcome blade? Test. And if I come back over here, obviously the thing isn't running because, well, it's not running and I didn't turn it on. Let's come back over here, and the button is still not there. Let me regenerate this route cache, whatever it was, and serve again. So refresh this. Okay, and now we see it. So the route cache generation is super annoying. I don't understand why I actually need to run it, but that is okay. So if I, again, my terminal is out of control here because the screen is very big. If I go over here and I name this login, come back over here, nothing is happening to the application. Okay, let's just open up a second terminal over here. Where's this? Open terminal. I'll bring up the previous commands. So I'm gonna hopefully expect this to run while it's serving. I can restart the route cache. Again, a little bit annoying that I have to do it manually, but look, the login button is there. Okay, so I figured out how to add routes. Now if I can add new routes, I actually want to place some logic over there. So let's do something simple. Over here on the login route, let's call out print, I think it was, and another hello world. You can see I love my hello worlds. And the location over here, let's see if that has actually hot reloaded. It didn't look like it did. Let's go ahead and refresh this, and the whole thing just exploded. Let's go ahead, serve it again. So I printed hello world. It didn't print anything to the console, but it actually just printed it out into some kind of void, or like the thing that it returned. Okay, so I'm gonna remove that. And yeah, so no hot reload. I mean, we don't really get that. We get a file watcher. If I regenerate this, looks like it works sometimes. Cool. Let's create some global state. I'm gonna start off with just having some numbers. This is gonna be an array, and let's say empty array to start with. I'm gonna remove this login page because I don't care about it. Let's get the numbers. This is going to be a route name. Actually, let's do this. I'm not gonna put it here. Let's actually take all of this stuff, take it to the API. We're gonna remove this part over here because I feel like, well, it's some numbers behavior, right? And by the way, this numbers, I don't know how to do global state in Laravel. I'm just expecting, look, there's a file. Before I define this function, there's going to be this thing. It exists outside of this. Does this run every single time? At which point will this state actually, well, be reset, right? So numbers, let's go ahead and just flat out return the numbers. Looks like that isn't working. Undefined variable. Let's quickly come back to here and see if there is anything closure in here. We'll see PHP closure. Let's see how that works. This looks awfully complicated. Or never mind, you gotta say use directory. So you have to be explicit about the closure that you're using, I guess. Number. Okay, there we go. Actually, kind of like it. I probably like it because it is, well, what'd you say it's? Number, let's say just num. I like it because it looks new, and I just get a little, you know, like, oh, I just learned something new. This must be good. I want to push add to, oh my god, I'm gonna have to refer to the manual over here. Let's come back all the way over here. Add element to an associative array. Add an element to the end of an array. Interesting. Or array push. Okay. I get an array push somewhere over here. Let's say array push. We will have the number array, and I will apply the number over here, semicolon. Let's say just added over here. Okay. What do we have over here? Replace with this. Okay, so I don't really like this. I like the previous option. I don't know if it's some kind of convention. Do let me know in the comments. Is this the, what's it called? The de facto way to add things to an array? This looks a little bit weird to me. Okay. But anyway, we got our posts. So let's just make sure that we are, well, capable of auth sanctum. This is, okay, so that is invoking the middleware first and then get. So whatever authentication middleware that runs before we do the get. So actually, I don't want this bit over here. I don't want the authentication because I'm just interacting with a global state. So let's have a look at this. We are gonna have API numbers. It is empty. So what I'm gonna do is, well, regenerate my route cache or whatever it was, and there we have it. So an array of arrays. I have probably defined my array incorrectly, and I did. I just want to basically say that it's just an array. Okay, so the type is implicit, and I guess now I want to do array push over here. not this weird syntax that got suggested to me because I was probably doing something weird. Okay, so again, it's suggesting something. Number array. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it like that unless the mutation is unless it's actually immutable, which we're gonna see in just a second. So numbers, I will need to regenerate this. Let's go ahead and refresh that. And cool. So actually, I'm going to change this to get because I don't have an HTTP client here, but I just want to be able to do this through the route. So numbers doesn't work. So we're just going to do add numbers. Okay. Forgetting to regenerate this. Okay. No number collisions. Let's go ahead and duplicate this tab. We're going to do add numbers and num, and let's do 5. Okay, so I'm surprised that you can't just model bind it. You got to do, well, either get it for the request or whatever this input thing is. So let's go ahead and try it both ways. Instead of this, let's give this a request. Grab the request. Over here, of course, not a dot. We want to query key and number. Okay, I will need to regenerate. Come back over here and let's run this. Okay, so it allegedly has been added and nothing has actually happened. So let's take a look at this. Yeah, so it looks like an @ sign. So I'm surprised that that is a thing. Okay, I thought it would be passed by reference by default, but it isn't. So num10 still not adding it. Added. Do I have to pass it over here by reference as well? No. What? And that is exactly what I'm doing. So I'm having a little bit of a conundrum here. Let's put some original values into there and just make sure that the thing is actually being serialized correctly. And this cache restarting is, you know, pretty annoying, this one. So refresh still doesn't add anything to it. Let's say, yeah, I'll just want to add a number 5 over here. Obviously, I have to regenerate the route, but the 5 does get added there. So basically, what I suspect is happening is the whole thing maybe somehow gets reran or something like that, and I get a fresh numbers array every single time. Let's go ahead and actually try to return the numbers array here, see if well, it actually changes in any way. I think that will be massively helpful to see. Okay, so I am mutating it. It's just not being mutated over here, and it looks like I am passing a reference. So I just don't know how to do global state in Laravel. So let's go ahead and try that. So Laravel tier locations, Laravel global state. There we go, right at the bottom. Dependency injection and controllers are injecting this, and then under this we'll be able to find this. Okay, perfect. I like this. 0 configuration resolution. I am gonna create some kind of service and I can inject it. Okay, now we're talking. Maybe that's where I went wrong, right? Class state. Let's go ahead, put this in here. Maybe this needs to be private, and this needs to be private. Actually, this is an instruction. Don't want this here. I want this public. We are real programmers that are using real programming paradigms. So number state. Oh, I misspelled state there. So what's happening over here? Number. Okay. Okay, because I had a $sign over there and that doesn't need it anymore. So over here, because this is public, let's create a public function, add number. This is going to be number just for practice, purely for practice. This I get at this because this wait, I put a dash and it puts the arrow just for me. Okay, it's just like what's it called, writing a dot. Okay, so num semicolon, and there we have it. Do I have a formatting button? Nope, I don't want to type that. And now we're definitely cooking. So state, let me state, come on, add no. Okay, and then we pass the num over here. I feel like this is about to be a breakthrough. Regenerate caches, get the numbers, and state doesn't exist, obviously. Because why not? Why would this work? Because it told me this would work, and it doesn't work. Okay, so this example places it in web.php, and this is game changing. If it worked, all right. Let's try to do that. Web.php, place it over here. I'm gonna take my API routes over here. I'm gonna place them into web.php and regenerate routes. Okay, so now instead of APIs, I'm gonna have to go to numbers, and whoop-de-doo, it doesn't work. Again, I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and restart the application. And service still doesn't work. Maybe I have misspelled class. So class service and class state service. I am placing it in a function on route get. That is exactly what I'm doing. Mainly app service provider is used. So this thing over here, we have a register function apparently. It looks like I haven't placed a namespace over here. So namespace app. Let's put state over here. Okay, semicolon. Let's regenerate. And actually in web, this is, oh my god, wrong keybind again. Wait for the dot, import class. Cool. Hopefully, maybe, if God willing. Oh my god! It still doesn't update it. This is horrible. Unless I royally messed it up. I'm calling add number. It doesn't change the state unless the way that the state is being created is new every single time, because I haven't created a singleton effectively. Let me see. Okay, and it looks like this bit over here and this use state service is actually maybe moot point. Now the magic somehow suddenly works. It does. Okay. So let's of all the things, a single binding a singleton. You can use the singleton method. Okay, so instead of bind, we use singleton. We do the imports over here. Do the refresh. I no longer know what I'm refreshing. And I made a class with a static field, which I'm mutating, which I can see it's being changed over here. But then once I'm in this function over here, it changed back. Okay, so I think after maybe like an hour of research, reading, I've managed to find out that PHP does something to reset all of the static properties. So I don't think it has like a runtime. It is basically initialized and destroyed per request. So that is why I am not seeing my static variables being updated between requests. A big fucking surprise to me. Also a lot of articles about developers in the PHP community just being like, you shouldn't be using static anyway. Shut up. I want some state, and I believe that should just, well, while my application is running, it should be there. But if it's just something that spins up and down, clearly I don't know what PHP is at that point, or whatever it is that I'm, where is this thing? Whatever it is that I'm serving over here isn't an actual application. It's just something that is going to initialize this PHP script. To me, this sounds bizarre. Basically, if I want some kind of storage, I'm actually going to have to go to a database or, deal out cookies, do whatever I need to do to get between request storage. So I think that's going to be the next step. Let's connect to a database. Okay, database, Laravel, Postgres, password is password. DB connection, PGSQL, I think it was over here. PGSQL, yep. 543. Okay, so it's overriding over here. Postgres and password is password. Does look like I might have to write the migrations myself. Well, let's take a look at this. Database migrations. So there are a couple here already. Let's take a look at one. Okay, I'm gonna go really simple. Let's copy this across and Day 23, whatever, doesn't really matter. We'll create to-dos, ID, we'll call this title, email doesn't matter, verified doesn't matter, remember token doesn't matter, let's say table, boolean, complete. Okay, semicolon on the end, missed a couple of letters. Let's go ahead and run the migrations. So PHP artisan migrate. That's because I'm not inside my example application. And there we have it. Looks like all of them are done. So let's see what we got here. So we got the to-dos. It looks like it's created everything. So pretty easy migration process. One thing, maybe good, maybe bad. It is a dynamic language with some type hints, but you're basically writing migrations yourself. These are not generated automatically based on your schema, how Entity Framework does it in .NET. And actually in Spring Boot, the whole schema gets generated for you. But in .NET, we also have tools like that. For example, Martin will create the database. It will create the tables for you if they don't exist. You can just boot up your application, start using types, and the database will just create itself as you're using those tables. So anyway, we managed to finally, well, get our database. Let's go ahead and start interacting with it. So in the getting started page, you don't get a crazy good ORM. You get something like this, I think, unless there is something like that. So eloquent ORM over here. Let's check this out. So object relational mapper, right? And actually it looks like the eloquent ORM is going to give me what I want. So let's try to follow this. I'm going to go to the terminal and let's run this. Oh, you know, might have spoken too soon. We'll just call this to do O. Okay, so double O. In my app modals, I have to do. It has use factory, whatever that is. But let's try to use it like a regular property or how we did it. So there was an ID. I want a title and I want completed. I don't know about that. Let's just give all of this public modifiers and hope it just works. Okay, so it looks like there was actually a step generated with migration. So let's try this again. I'm going to just take all of these, delete the to-do, and we're going to remake the model with the to-do and the migration. I don't know what that's going to do exactly. Let's go ahead, place it over here, create to-dos, and ID and timestamp. Okay, so I created my to-do model. I added these things in here, but they didn't automatically map onto the migration. So even though I used the command line to generate the migration, I still had to add this shit into here. Okay, so far my experience with Larvel, I would call it not too good. So let's go to the to-do over here and the to-do over here. That we're gonna call this add, and let's actually take these routes and do it properly. Let's go to the API side. So API, wrong button, API.php over here, and first of all, we're gonna need to add some to-do. So let's actually get rid of this request. I might actually supply a title over here. Let's remove this, and we're going to have the to-do. I think we can do created. Okay, I'm gonna ignore the IntelliSense. I'm gonna assume that it's just going to work. So title, we are going to supply a dummy for now. I'm obviously not doing it correctly. That is a Java arrow. And completed, we're going to assume that, maybe we'll assign a null, maybe it won't assign a null. So we do the automatic import. Let's say that, okay, we have returned something. And on here, let's put a query. How do you query over here? This page is so big, it's annoying to scroll. So collections, we just do where get, and rather there should be a method that just says all, just like that. Perfect. Coming back over here, API to do. It is obviously not found. I don't know why this is happening to me. Somebody can explain this. I have to regenerate my routes. And when I do, the relation to do's does not exist. Are you kidding me? What does exist? We have to do's right over there. If I go ahead, take this query, let me copy it, place it over here, semicolon on the end, and to-dos doesn't exist. You are correct. Still doesn't exist. Hold up. So what does exist? To-do tables? What? Well, how did that happen? To-do table? What? Okay. That's a bunch of shit. I don't know how the fuck that happened. Okay, let's take a, okay. I think we have, a breakthrough. So migrations, write them yourselves. the tooling is there, but, you gotta learn it and whatever. I'm probably just shit at this. API PHP, let's try to add something. Add the title with this title. Okay, maybe it's a little bit simpler than that. I'll just do to-do. Here we have our to-do and then $, obviously. To-do, we are gonna have a title and we're going to set it to num. Okay, this num is a little bit misleading. It is a title. Let's actually name it correctly. And on the to-do, there is maybe a create or save. Okay. Let's refresh the route, give this a refresh everything, and nothing is being added. Okay, so I managed to save some things in the database, and I'll be honest, I do not like it one bit. Here's the experience. So on the surface, if you want to actually create something, you first create the entity and you are doing the saving through the entity model, okay? If you want to set some kind of properties, you gotta set it on the properties which you're not allowed to put on your model. So if you put something like this on your model, your code starts breaking and it's not actually setting the things that you wanted to set in the database. The migration models that you're generating, you have to write these out manually. Can be good, can be bad, depending on how you look at it. I don't like it. I think I should be able to put properties in my model, generate and rescan my migrations. Basically, the way that Entity Framework does it is really good compared to this. This is subpar, as I would say. I'm actually going to draw the line here and stop the video. I was really looking forward to enjoying Larvel, but I'll be honest, it has actually disappointed me. I thought the PHP community raved about it. It is so good, but I don't think it is better than ASP.NET Core. So let's start from the beginning of basically trying Larvel and what I think is bad and good about it. And hopefully you can forgive me for being a little bit tired at this point, but first of all, the massive project that you get that is apparently the beginner template or the empty template, that's not an empty template. You get a bunch of configuration for various things, tons of, you get like pre-baked, all of the pre-baked like PGSQL, MySQL, MSSQL, just all of these configuration files ready for you to swap in values. Sure, that may be useful for some, but in terms of starting off and just being bombarded with all of this information, not a good experience. I would rather have just one main file and then opting in feature by feature as I'm learning about it. As I was kind of getting a hang of it, there's the routes API and web files, which allow you to define the files for your web application, and then for the API, which is going to effectively be called via Ajax. I think that's good. I think that was relatively simple in terms of running the application and then having to update the route and then to regenerate some kind of cache. I thought I didn't have to do it at the beginning, but then I think I did it once and then it just stuck. So for the rest of my experience, the application was running, and as I was updating stuff, I just had to regenerate some cache. So that was extremely draining from the whole experience. I don't know how I could turn that off. And then the whole dependency injection story, as I was trying to get some persistent state between requests. As I found out, it just wipes your static state. I don't know what that is about, but I feel like that just destroys the purpose of the whole singleton scoped and transient lifetimes of your services as they have in PHP. So you're going to be forced into using something called session storage or, just a database. Redis, PostgreSQL. As you've seen, I tried PostgreSQL. Then connecting to the database, the Eloquent ORM You're basically going to use, again, this artisan tool. I don't know why. It reminds me of the, what's it called? The Angular tool for generating components. But when you have your components are massive, which are consisting of like 5 files, and you're like, I gotta create 5 files every single time I want a new component. Of course, you need a tool for it. If your framework is not convoluted and you're like, okay, I just want this thing, that thing, but if you need to keep track of like a thousand things that you might want to potentially create, the same as you have with Artisan over here. So if you want to create a model, if you want to generate a controller for it, a factory method, a migration, and the migration is then, it doesn't actually keep track of anything that is on your actual model, like properties or stuff like that. I placed properties on my model, I generated the migration, and I thought like, oh, I'm going to get the migration with all the properties. No, I still had to go and put all of those things inside the migration manually, and then on top of that, it actually generated the incorrect table for me. So yeah, in terms of managing your models and managing the database, it's going to be a little bit more of a manual experience type of thing, but then the querying and the insertion, it's not too bad. The querying, I think, is pretty good. You just do your model name and then you start querying right like that. You don't get an extra DB context, which is kind of saying, okay, here's the model and you're going to use the model to query it. Or rather, the model, even though that it extends a class called model, it is not an actual model. It is more of like the thing that is going to do the querying for you, and then it's going to, because it's a dynamic language, you're just going to have to know which columns are in your database. You're not allowed to put those properties on your model. Otherwise, stuff starts breaking when you're trying to insert entities. Again, all of this, maybe I'm using it incorrectly. Larvel framework, whatever the PHP community says about it, if you're a .NET user and you're watching this summary, if you manage to sit through this, stick with .NET. Larvel is not better. You're not going to enjoy it. Everything in .NET is a lot easier. And that is my personal opinion. I really thought I was going to enjoy Larvel. I don't mind the PHP language, just different symbols in different places. In terms of the framework itself, I did not have a good experience, and yeah, but hopefully you had a good experience watching me suffer. So if you did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section. A big and very special thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. You help me make these videos. As always, thank you for watching and have a good day.